so freaking excited tonight, y'all. I'm freaking excited because I have one of my favorite attorneys that's going to be here to grace you with her presence. I want to tell you a little bit about Temani. Temani Adams is her name. She is a federal trial attorney. She's like the top of the top. She's out of Dallas, Texas. And guys, without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Temani. Hey,
Hello.
Temani.
Hi.
How are
I
you?
am wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so glad I remember I told you you're my favorite. You're my favorite. I'm so glad that you had the time to even come up here.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
anything for you.
excited. Thank you. Well, we got like a couple of cases that I want to talk to you about, but let's hear what's happening with you.
Okay, so I'm free because I was supposed to be in trial on a murder this week,
Mhm.
and the trial got pushed back. So I had nothing to do pretty much all week because my trial got canceled. So right now I am winding down. It is June. I plan on traveling for the majority of the rest of the year
Mhm.
and having a good time.
Okay, you could do that when you're an attorney.
Yeah, so I think I already like I'm still like I'm not really accepting cases, especially in situations where it may drag on too long or it's not a
Mhm.
federal case.
Mhm.
But yeah, because I want to go on my trip and have a good time.
Awesome, awesome. Well, anyway, I'm going to begin and ask you one of the cases that you talked about when you were last here back in January was it's been a whole year. Wow, it's been over a year since you was here. Was a YSL. When I talked to you, YSL trial had not started. And you were giving us some tidbit information about Rico and things like that. Stuff that you were saying is now coming to fruition. Have you had a chance to take a look at this case right now, or have you heard anything? What do you think?
Yes, I have. And I
Uh-huh.
think that the case is truly insane.
Okay.
I have watched a little bit of it.
Uh-huh.
I actually saw a clip earlier today where the judge threatened to hold a lawyer in contempt. I saw that today for making commentary while the jury was present. And at this point, I understand because they don't know when this case is going to end. The fact that they think this case could possibly last 2 years is insane. So for an attorney to make commentary while the jury is like present in this type of case, it can be a real issue because if he's making too much commentary in front of the jury,
Mhm.
then you can have a mistrial. And
Mm.
then they will be doing all of this all over again. So it's best to admonish the attorney to say, hey, I might put you in jail because you're not going to run this trial for everyone else.
Mm.
But again, the possibility of this trial being even a year is insane, like let alone 2 years. I do not understand how that is even fathomable. Like you produce a witness list before trial, and if you're steady adding witnesses, at some point the trial has to end. Especially, you have to consider that this is a multi-defendant case.
Mhm.
So you have the state putting on all of their witnesses,
Mhm.
which is taking an extended period of time. But you have to keep in mind, as far as time frame, each of these other defendants, they also get to put on their defense, which
Mhm.
means they get to call witnesses. So
Mhm.
we're already at an extended period of time just based on the state's case, let alone when you consider the defenses that these individual defendants want to put on. That's a long time.
Mhm. Mhm.
And
So
not
how now I was gonna say, so how long you think it's gonna last?
I don't know. I think that the judge, they definitely need to have what we would call like a status conference to
Mhm.
say, okay, where are we going? How far state, how many more witnesses do you have? How long are these witnesses, do you expect these witnesses to take? Because one thing that happens that I don't think anyone has mentioned is the state has the possibility of what we call losing the jury, right? Or the technical term would be like jury fatigue, right? We've heard this case for so long. You're going over the same information time and time again, or you're getting witnesses who aren't saying what you want them to say, and we're just going through this. I feel like bad for any juror on this case because for a year or more, this is what you're doing day in and day out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I was telling them, because I was giving them a report of what the jurors was doing. I know 3 jurors for a fact has checked out.
Oh yeah, I would check out. You have to keep like even social media has damn near checked out because it's like this has been going on too long. Like let's get on to the next story. We have other big criminal trials coming in America. Wrap this case up.
So who will benefit from this right now? The fatigue of a juror. Who would be the one that would be more favorable in a situation like this where jurors fatigue?
Right now, I feel like the defendants are in the winning position in the situation because these are all the state's witnesses, and they've had several witnesses go straight on the stand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you're bringing us this case, you're saying it's all about this, and then you have witnesses. I think one guy was like he was high or something like that. Like, what? Like, why are we here? Like, why
There
are
was
you
one that said that. One of them said, "Why am I here? I don't belong here."
Yeah. So it's like at this point, what's going on? And to know you have to suffer through more and more and more of this? No.
Yeah. And one juror also came by and put a note, gave a note to the judge saying that she lives in that area where they said not to go by. She knew she lived over there. So what do you think she's trying to do?
I think, let me just say this. I think hopefully she's trying to get out of jury duty if she's smart. Because who wants to like deal with this for this amount of time? Even because if let's just say she added something to the story, she said she lived in that area, and again she knew she lived in the area, but let's just say she says, oh, people have accosted her or something like that, or she feels like she's in danger. That's her ticket to get off this damn jury.
Oh, so she could get off then.
Yeah, if she add a little extra to her statement, she can get off the jury because who wants to put their life in danger for jury duty?
Nobody.
I mean,
Especially-
the judge, he could possibly say, "Oh, well, we'll give you security or whatever, to keep the juror on the panel." But again, who wants to deal with that?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Wow. I have another question here.
Hmm.
There's another case that I've been looking at, and one of the things that they added on to the RICO, because now they have this RICO. Georgia's going to be the RICO state. They have everything. They got to find RICO. Whoever RICO is, they're going to find it, right? But they included bigamy. Did you hear about that?
Oh, first of all, WTF, WTF. Um, in the what is that lady's name? The Steve Harvey's co-host.
Shirley
Her
Strawberry.
her husband's case.
Mhm.
The bigamy thing. Oh, it's so many layers to it. As far as the actual case. From a personal perspective, my heart goes out to her. She thought, she got her Prince Charming finally, so on and so forth. And now it's,
A frog.
oh my gosh, right? Not only is he in jail, but now your marriage may not have even been valid. That's a tough pill to swallow, and it's in the public eye. And the fact that she is the celebrity in the situation, they're always going to associate his shenanigans with her name.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Because without her, who is he? We don't know him.
Nobody knows.
Yeah, yeah. And so that, as far as that, my heart goes out to her. As far as the actual case, alleging bigamy as part of a RICO, that's interesting. That's an interesting angle.
What's the funniest RICO have you ever heard of?
Probably his, because they made it a RICO. They made it a RICO when it's a lot of what do you call it, romance scam. It's pretty much just a bunch of romance scam. That's
Mhm.
what it is.
Mhm.
And the thing is, with RICOs, you get to bring all this other stuff into the case that the case may not truly be about. But in this situation, him and all his romance scams, they know like a lot of these women will be embarrassed to come forward.
Mm.
Women, not even just women, but people, period, are oftentimes, especially in romance scams,
Mhm.
like too embarrassed to come forward, especially if they are women who are or people like in a certain position. Like, what powerful woman would like wants to come and say, "Yeah, I let this guy, you know, romance scam me for $700 or $70,000," right? No
Mhm.
powerful woman wants to come out and say that. So romance scam cases sometimes can fall apart.
Really?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So
My thing is, okay, he has the RICO. Why didn't they add the other charges, like the CP and the SA charge? Why didn't they add that in there? They're keeping those 2 separate.
those may be strong charges. So if
Mhm.
those are strong, you don't need those in the RICO. You can get a conviction on those. The
Okay.
romance scam, those may not be strong because you may not have like I said, you may not have witnesses who want to come forward. So
Mhm.
from what I gather is that he got with Shirley,
Mhm.
and that enabled him to seem more credible to people, put him
Mhm.
on a different platform, and it
Mhm.
also introduced him to additional people who he could, you know, scam. I guess that's the appropriate word. But it also gave him like an air of legitimacy because he's with this woman. She's on this radio show with this other famous person.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
he's in that circle. People are going to believe automatically, oh, he must be someone, he must be credible, despite the truth. People oftentimes look for associations with certain people
Mhm.
to determine if someone's credible. Because if you're around this person and they're a person of, stature or whatever you want to say,
Mhm.
you must be credible because why else would they be with you?
Exactly. So they trust you more because of these other people. This other
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense, makes sense. Oh, man. Now, let's talk about the other case that we were talking about earlier.
Oh, okay.
What do you think about the Diddy situation?
So I'm getting ready to travel for an extended period of time.
Okay.
I don't care if I am in the United States of America, I will be at that courthouse, front row and center, because there's so many pieces to it.
Mhm.
It's, oh my gosh. I am just like, whenever they get this indictment and release it, I don't care what island I am on. I will be like, what is the Wi-Fi? How do I get data to download this indictment? Because I expect it to be extremely lengthy.
So
Extremely.
which one? Are you talking about a criminal one? Do you think a
Yes.
criminal one's gonna come about?
He's if you may not recall because it's been so long ago, but
Mhm.
how things went for R. Kelly,
Mhm.
like how
Mhm.
things started out.
Mhm.
And then slowly, then they did raise, and then like it was several different steps. It's almost the same thing.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's very parallel. It is, and if he is arrogant enough to stay in the United States, when the writing is clearly on the wall.
Mhm.
If you're going to stay here, one, you're insane, but two, I'm going to be here for it because the things that have been alleged against him
Mhm.
are only like the tip of the iceberg.
So you think you're gonna get a RICO?
He could, he could, or he would have like several different counts of whatever, charges they may have.
Mhm.
So, in the grand scheme of things, like what we know for sure he has is an assault, right? But due to the statute of limitations, he cannot be charged with that at the state level in Los Angeles. But
if he did a RICO, can he be charged with that?
Because you remember, just like R. Kelly, they alleged a criminal enterprise. And I will say, with R. Kelly, the criminal enterprise angle, it was a reach. It was a reach. But when you think about Diddy and his organizations and all the people that were in his organizations that knew what was going on and assisted, that is a criminal enterprise.
Yeah. Yeah. And they have some video footage and all this kind of stuff. So do you think they got some stuff on the footage when they raided his house?
You know what? It depends on how arrogant and foolish he is.
Because maybe he got rid of it.
Yeah. But people who are like into their own ego would still keep it. You know what I mean? Now, if there was incriminating evidence, any person who's in their right mind, it's destroy, destroy, destroy. I don't want anyone to ever see this. But people who are like so in love with themselves or like who have lots of ego, this wouldn't.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah. But one thing that I do think is I do know there's been stories about him going on for years.
Yeah,
for years. And people who didn't speak out, but people like lots of his employees have stories about him beating the same young lady in a board meeting. So it's just like in front of everybody. You know what I mean? So it's like, no, this isn't even a situation where they say, okay, where there's smoke, there's fire. No, there's fire. We're just now seeing the smoke. And he has lost all credibility at this point because he came out and denied all these allegations. Deny. And then we have a video, and then he's sorry. Sir, take several seats. Take several seats at the back of the bus.
Yeah, yeah. Woo. So you're gonna be there for that?
I will be there. Like, I don't care, because I think that it would be better than the R. Kelly trial. I think a lot of people were just really infatuated with the R. Kelly trial because it involved so many people. It involved Aaliyah, so on and so forth. It had been on TV. But the same thing with Diddy. As you know, 50 Cent sold his Surviving Diddy documentary footage to, I think, Netflix. Yeah. But he sold it. So that's coming. And once we have that, we have more information, the people who are going to come out, it's going to be more than salacious. I remember a story from a young lady several years ago. I don't know her name. I can see her face. She'd done an interview with a blogger, and she talked about being with him. Her and the other women clearly knew about one another. She'd gotten pregnant, according to her, and like he beat her. And so on. Like, the stories have already been coming. It's just that now people are paying a lot more attention.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad. Woo. All right. So, and you know me, I don't like keeping you too long. My commitment was only about an hour, and then unless you say no, then I'll go for longer. But are you ready to take some questions from the folks up in the chat?
Sure.
All right, guys. She is ready. She's ready for the questions. Let's see who has a question. Okay. I think this is like told you. Are you guys gonna ask any question in regards to any of the case we talk about, or anything that you have like a burning desire to have Temani to answer? Okay. So let's see. One person has here that Diddy has been blackmailing for years. That video was just released by the feds.
So let me just say, the blackmailing, the intimidation tactics, yeah, that's been going on for years, like definitely. He It kind of reminds me of some of the Jeffrey Epstein tactics.
Oh,
So
okay.
in that story, he recorded everything. He recorded a lot.
Mhm.
So a lot of people would not come out against him because he
If
had
he
the
goes
tape.
down, they all going down.
Yeah, he had the tapes. So you're definitely not going to say anything against him because, let me refresh your memory about what you did on this day.
Yeah. Okay, TK has a question. Why do you think the judge allows judge to persuade him to change in his answer? I don't know what's that towards.
Okay, why do you think the judge allows? I think they made a typo.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. All right. If you were on the defense team, all right, for YSL, how would you defend?
So I think the first thing is they've done this, but once they made the announcement that this trial could possibly last 2 years, I would have asked for bail again because that's absurd.
But
It's
they keep denying the bill.
Yeah, they keep doing it, and I would have asked again because once you get to that point, to know for 2 years this is what's going to be happening. He's in custody for 2 years.
So
So, in preparing a defense and meeting with your client when a person is in jail is a lot more hectic and stressful when your client is on bond.
so can they ask right now why it's going on?
Yeah, I would.
Oh.
And I feel like they think it's not going to happen. But when they announced that it would take 2 years, that was the perfect time to bring it up because that's inhibiting your ability to communicate with your client
Mhm.
because you're in court all day. If you need to speak with your client, you have to go after court, but you
Mhm.
also have to prepare, you and your team. On the flip side, it's disrupting him because he's in court all day.
Mhm.
He has limited time to have visitation, have calls with his family and his friends.
And it
Like,
cost it would cost the city less money instead of them having to transport them too, right?
yeah. So I think another thing is there's so many different ways or avenues to getting bond, and in situations you just have to get creative. There was a federal case where I think it was in New York, and they wanted bond so
Mhm.
badly that the defendants was like, "We will pay to have U.S. Marshals as like guards at our home, so
Mhm.
you all will know where we are 24 hours a day." And the
Mhm.
judge let it happen.
Wow. Wow. And what kind of case was that?
It was actually I think it was like a white collar case.
Okay.
I think it was, but they done something crazy because the judge wasn't trying to give them bond, but
Oh,
that's what they ended up coming up with.
okay. Tall Glass asks, how do you feel about the judge in the YSL sustaining with basis only, no full explanation for a correct ruling? And how can the judge rule fully without?
Okay, so the way that objections work, you get up and you say your objection. Let's just say objection hearsay or objection relevance, and then you say whatever you have to say afterwards. The opposing party can respond. In YSL, there are several opposing parties, and then the judge can make a ruling. However, if the judge knows when you make the objection that the objection is baseless or you're not properly applying the law to the facts, he can then rule. It is up to the attorneys to preserve the record to say, hey, Your Honor, or let's just say sometimes the judge will say, move along. It's up to the attorneys to say, no, judge, I need a ruling.
Mm-hmm.
So the judge does not necessarily have to give the reasoning for his ruling. He needs to give a ruling. And if they want a more detailed basis for that ruling, then what needs to happen is they need to have a mini hearing outside the presence of the jury.
Okay. Okay.
So it's a lot of different moving parts while we're like in trial because you have to focus on the trial, of course, but also um, know to make objections to preserve things for appeal, possibly.
Okay. So what happens like when you know that people are saying that the judge is biased,
Mhm.
right? And you feel within your heart that you're not getting a fair trial because the judge is more towards the prosecution and they keep denying you and they're giving so much to the state side. What is the recourse of a defense attorney to have when something like that happens?
So the main thing is to preserve your objections
Okay.
in case you lose and you need to appeal. That's the first thing.
What do you mean by preserve? What does that mean?
So say for instance, let's just say in a hearsay, I say, objection, Your Honor, hearsay. And the prosecutor says, no, Your Honor, this doesn't go to the weight of the evidence. It goes to X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, well, sustained. Or no, he says overruled, right? So I lose the objection. So I have it on the record. If it happens again, I make the objection again, but I give more detail. Objection, Your Honor, hearsay. Previously, this, and this, so on and so forth. And based on, the applicable law, this is not correct.
Mm-hmm.
The judge makes his ruling.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes the judge may say, move it along, or we're not going to get into that. You need him to make a ruling, whether it's sustained or not, or overruled.
Mm-hmm.
That's preserving the record for appeal,
Okay.
making sure that you actually got a ruling.
Okay.
So in the instance that this person is biased or didn't rule properly, hey, you have that on the record. You made the objection. Because if you get to the point of appeal and you did not make the objection, the appeals court is going to say, well, you waived that issue because you did not preserve that, or you did not raise that objection at trial.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you for that information because that's good stuff. Let's see. Okay. Danny asks, does RICO normally show when state rests their case, or is he supposed to show up before?
I think she thinks Rico is a person.
I think she's being funny.
So first, I've read numerous articles about this, about the district attorney in Georgia and how they're just using RICO to apply to everything. And RICO doesn't apply to everything, and they're trying to force it. And one thing that it's doing, and I don't think people realize it, is that it's tying up the court system. Because guess what? This isn't that judge's only case. So what happens to all the other people that are on his docket?
They get pushed to the side.
Yeah, but if they're in jail, no, they have rights as well, especially if they're in jail. So then what? You know what I mean? What about the other attorneys who they want to move their case as well? This is insane. And it's taking so much time to pursue these RICO cases, especially the Young Thug case, that you're taking prosecutors away from cases that they could actually be getting resolved.
So why do you think she's doing it like candy, like that, just giving it away, like just RICO? I think that just might be her MO. Like that's what, that's her goal. That's what she wants to be known for. That's, don't mess with me. Don't come to my county with, your shenanigans, because this is where you can end up. But I want to tell you, they even have a RICO for protesters. 61 individuals who are right now in Fulton County who is being prosecuted for protesting, and it's a RICO.
Yeah, that's insane. That's insane. It's completely absurd. And let me just say this: when the crime fits the RICO, charge it. But when you're just wasting resources, when you can prosecute these cases individually, do that.
Yeah. All right, so we got that question. Okay, here's a question here. It says, isn't there a certain amount of bond here that you're allowed to have?
So in the United States, you have a right to a bond. That's just what it is. You have a right to a bond, unless in certain situations. And I believe that in this situation, they are abusing the process. there is very little reason why, I don't know his government name, Young Thug should not have bond.
Jeffrey Williams.
Okay, Mr. Williams should not have a bond. Yes, I understand the charges and the severity of the charges, but the different options that are available and that have been made available for him to have bond should have been, I don't know what his lawyers did or did not present for bond, but those things should not prohibit him from having freedom. I get what they're alleging. This was a violent organization. I get that. I totally do. But there could have been so many conditions of bond that he could have received,
Mm-hmm.
and he could be at home. There was so many different conditions of bond, and I believe that when they were doing the bond hearings, the state is just putting on what they believe is their best evidence and the worst evidence for the defense. Because a lot of times you want judges, from a state's perspective, you want the judges to hear all the bad stuff, the really, really bad stuff about these people, so that the judge can say, oh, there's a sense of fear for the community, and I have to protect the community. But once you get into an actual case and those facts aren't what they said,
no.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and talk about bond again, Judge. Let's go ahead and talk about it again, because you held my client in custody based on the state's alleging this, and that. It's not what they presented. My client is not the danger that they said they are. My client should be released.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Especially right now with all their witnesses, they impeaching all their witnesses. I'm like, okay, what's going on? You don't have any witness that you find credible?
It's like, where are you getting these people from? Like, are you just like, you're just picking up anybody? You know what I mean?
Crackheads, drunks, stuff.
Like, where are you getting these people from? It's insane. Like, is this your witness? Are you sure? Because your witnesses are turning on you very quickly. They are turning on you very quickly. Like, wrap it up. Like, let's wrap this up.
I know. I mean, it's ridiculous. All right. Derek says, YSL case. With the evidence as right now, today, is Thug innocent or guilty? Your opinion?
Right now, he's innocent. The state, they've lost the jury. I think if the jury voted today for Young Thug,
they're done.
Because I don't want to hear no more of this. I don't want, you know what I mean? But from an attorney's perspective, as of right now, they have not proven their case. Their witnesses have gone awry. It's so much of back and forth battles in the courtroom about things that just are not relevant and not focused on the case. The prosecutors definitely need, if they want to win, need to clean up their case. Like, because when you have witnesses in cases, you talk to your witnesses beforehand. You've talked to people before, and you typically talk to them the day of before their testimony, or your investigator does. It seems like they're not doing that because your witnesses are turning on you, the state, once you put them on the stand. They're coming off, they're not credible. They're saying they don't even know what you're talking about. They're on drugs. They don't want to be there. They're uncorroborative. They don't remember. So why are we here? Yeah. No, as of right now, he's innocent.
Yeah. Okay. Tall Glass asks, does it look bad to the jury that the state talks to each other heavily? Oh yeah. For instance,
Pass notes and whisper.
Oh, pass. Yeah. You should see. I mean, should I show a clip? She's like, I was like, why don't she just go ahead and do this direct instead of having this dude do it, and then you're not satisfied with him answering it,
Yeah. So I think one thing, well, let me just say, passing notes and whispering during trial, that's standard. But the thing is, for me personally, I do not let my co-counsel or my client talk to me in trial, because I gotta focus. If it ain't important, I don't want to hear it. Exactly. They have a notepad and they know if it's important, write it and slide it to me. That's it. Don't say anything, because one, it's distracting me, but I also know that the jury is looking.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that it's a huge distraction. And when you're doing it, like, one or two times, that happens. But if it's on a regular basis and they're doing it when their witness is going south, yeah, that looks bad.
Yeah. Okay. Next question says, why do you think the feds didn't take this case?
Because it ain't really a RICO.
Okay. All right. Let me see. The next person said, okay, here's another question. It says, how can they get this judge off the case when he denies all the defense's motion, even if they put a motion in to recruit himself, and he will not recruit himself? What can they do to get him out?
So what happens is you file a motion to recuse a judge. They can voluntarily recuse themselves, or they can say no. Then what happens is that if they say no, the motion to recuse goes to a different judge, and they have a hearing in front of that judge, and then that judge determines whether or not he would be recused.
But this is the chief judge.
Yeah. So a lot of times, say for instance, if he's the chief judge, they can send in another judge to rule on the motion.
Okay. Okay. So
But
how would I have would there have to be some complaint? I mean, is there a complaint that's done or what?
no, it's the motion I file. I would like this judge to recuse himself. He's shown bias based on whatever things I believe, or he's been inappropriate for these reasons, so on and so forth. The thing is, they're already in the middle of trial. So that's going to delay the trial.
That's one of the things that the attorney told me about, the delay of the trial.
That would delay the trial, which also means that these defendants are in jail while this motion is going on. If they end up having to get a new judge, then it's like, okay, do we have a mistrial and start this all the way over, or what happens? But it definitely would be a delay. People would still be in jail, and we would be talking about this again next year.
Wow. Dang. Okay. Lady C says, what are your thoughts on how the state has offered all the men who actually committed the crimes and served time pleas and are holding Jeffrey without bond for such a long time?
Yeah, the without bond thing is absurd. Them offering pleas, they're offering the pleas with hopes, with some of them with the stipulation of cooperation later on. But the thing is that in these types of cases, they want him, even though whatever his role is in the situation. Does he know these people? Some of them probably. But the thing is, knowing them, they're probably so far removed from him that they actually don't know him. Like, you know what I mean? You're very far removed from this person. So it's almost like, okay, what? So these people, they may have done these things and they're trying to tie these things to him. And it's just unfortunate because you're stretching it. It's a reach for a lot of the testimony and for a lot of the evidence. And a lot of these guys, they'll take a plea because I want to get out of jail. Who the heck wants to be in jail? I'm going to do it. But once they're getting on the stand for their cooperation, you see how it's going.
Yeah. Here's a good question here. Question: since it's a RICO, can some defendants be found guilty and some be found innocent, or they all get the same verdict?
Nope. Some can be found guilty, some can be found innocent.
That's a good one. That was a very good question. I like that one. Thank you for answering that one, because that one's good. Let's see. What should have happened if ADA Love is lying to the judge?
Oh, for lying to the judge. So this is, oh my gosh, it happens. And I've had a prosecutor lie in court before, and I was like, what? Right? But So the appropriate thing is for the judge to like reprimand the lawyer, especially if the judge knows it's a lie. But he can't take her off the case. That's not his role. You know what I mean? I think if anything, what should happen is that's something like for her superiors, for the prosecutor superiors to address.
What do you think about how they're using the internet to do most of their crime solving now these days? The prosecution, internet.
Oh yeah, that's old. So people don't realize that people are so busy trying to be famous, they don't realize that, hey, they're going to use this against you, right? So back in, like, I've been seeing prosecutors go through defendants' Facebook and Instagram pages for years. For years. I've seen prosecutors go through people's YouTube rap videos for years. It's just like, hey, you want to be famous or you want to be free? Because if you're committing a crime in these videos, why would you put it online? Just for likes and views? It's insane. So, prime example, and there's two cases like this. The Boosie's gun case. It's a federal case. I think it's in California.
San Diego. Yes. I've been covering that one as well.
Right. Also, who also has one is NBA YoungBoy. Both of their cases stem from video footage. They didn't catch them with the gun at all. It's video footage that they had and provided.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So I think in the Boosie video, I think it was a live or someone was recording him, and they ended up putting on a line, and he had the gun as small as his back. Why would you do that? You know what I mean? Like, or in the NBA YoungBoy case, I think the guy was like a videographer that he had hired who had the footage. Why would you do that? Like, I had a client a few weeks ago. Look, we got his cases resolved, but I saw him on a mutual acquaintance's Instagram story. And in the Instagram story, now he has on his regular clothes, and I see like a gun in his shorts. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you're insane. You know you're a felon. Why are you letting someone record you with this gun on you? You're insane.
Yeah, sad. Is it proper for the judge to make a statement mid-trial that he believes the state has proven conspiracy?
Did he say it in front of the jury? If he didn't say it in front of the jury, it's not an issue.
He didn't say it in front of the jury.
Yeah, then it's not an issue.
Okay. Not an issue, guys. He was doing it like a pretrial motions and things like that. That's what
that happened. Not that. In the federal detention hearing I had a couple of months ago, one thing we had to establish was that my client was not going to flee. So we had to approach the judge. It was very contentious. And the judge was like, look, Ms. Adams, you're winning on the issue of X, Y, and Z. You've proven your point. That happens. As long as it's not in front of the jury, it's fine.
Okay. All right. People asking the same questions over and over again. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Why do the judge get mad at the defense when they ask questions about something he already let into evidence?
Because he already let it into evidence. The issue is, though, let's just say if they're asking a question about it, he already admitted it, and they didn't think it should come in, something like that, then that's time for them to re-object.
Yeah. So do you think this case here is strong for appeal?
We gotta get through the trial first.
Okay, my bad. My bad.
We're gonna be here for a while for this trial. But I think that as of right now, because of the way that the case is going, the length of time that they expect the case to go, and the fact that the jury is already checking out, if the state doesn't put on something new and fresh, like with a new angle, it's over.
But they strong case, like the murder is like falling apart. Even with the father getting on the stand today, basically showed that the father was lying.
Yeah. So I think that this case is not necessarily going to go how they expect it to go. If once the defendants are able to present their cases, I think that at that point, things will get a lot better because the jury wants to hear something else. They want to hear something else. You know what I mean? But I think another issue with this case being so long is that you have these moments where witnesses are lying, witnesses are not remembering, so on and so forth. If we are at trial or closing arguments, a year from now, will the jurors even still remember that from a year before? You see what I'm saying? So you have to do double duty to present your case, but also refresh their memory about the state witness who lied the year before. That's the danger in having a case that's this long.
And so then, since the defense goes last, they might be in benefiting because they're going to remember the last thing that somebody said.
Yeah, I think so. One thing I do, me and my trial partner do in trial, is I keep a record of like just things that mattered. Like, oh, this witness couldn't remember. This witness, was impeached. This witness, and I keep those things, a list of those things that are like heavy hitters, so that in my closing arguments, I can refer back to those things.
Okay, because her wolf pack stuff not working. Question. It says, how do you feel about a judge with PTSD and a service dog and distracting sometime overseeing a high profile case?
So the dog is the issue.
Yeah, let me tell you, she do not hold back. Look at her face.
Like, for real, it's a real issue. It could, no matter if it's a service dog or if it's his regular pet, the dog is an issue. That's the issue for so many reasons.
Do tell.
Let's just say on a basic level, the dog has to come into the courthouse, so on and so forth. This dog, even though it's a service dog, I think I heard him talk about the dog and how it was friendly and so on and so forth. Hey, on a basic level, this dog could be triggered and, attack someone, even though the dog isn't like, of course, in the court, in the, oh my gosh, what do we call this? Whatever it is. The dog isn't in like the part where the defense attorneys are, the jurors are, right? But just getting a dog in the courthouse, that's one thing. He could attack like the court, like the staff. You know what I mean? That's just on a basic level. But at the same time, if I'm trying to present my case and I need to make sure that my judge is alert, I need to be certain that he's not distracted by this dog rubbing on his leg, licking on his feet, or barking. You're crazy. That would have been my motion to recuse. I do not believe that he will be able to defend, like, oversee this case. This dog will be present. Yeah, like, what? That's insane.
Y'all gonna get me in trouble of me, Temani.
You brought if you can't do the job without your service animal, you should not be doing the job, especially not this one. This is you are a public official. If you cannot do this job, and I get you need the service dog for whatever it may be, but if you cannot do this job without your service animal, you should not be doing the job because it's a public job.
All right, can we get another question up here, please? Somebody, please. Get me out of this. Oh my God. Okay, y'all, where is the questions? I'm looking for some questions. All right, here's a question. When Shard was on cross today, he was asking to approach, and the judge says no. So then he asked for a proffer, and he said, no, we can do that later. Why did he do that? What is a proffer?
First of all, let me say this. We're talking about the jury being fatigued. This judge is over it. He's over it. I can tell by the way he's lashed out at the attorneys. He is over it. He's over it. That's the first. He is fed up with both sides. That's the first thing. But so he's saying that, hey, so let me back up. He said, can we approach? Means, hey, judge, there's something that we need to discuss briefly, and I don't need the jury to hear it. If the judge says, no, we can't approach, cool. Well, I know this may be an issue, and let's just say I can't call this witness because of a previous ruling or whatever it is. I need to make a proffer. There's two things that this could be. One is you aren't allowing something that I need, so I need to make a statement on the record to say, Your Honor, I need X, Y, and Z based on, whatever it may be, by not allowing whatever it is. I believe that you're impeding my client's rights or whatever it is. It can be a statement by the attorney saying, hey, I have to say these things, to preserve the record for a possible appeal, right? A proffer can also be, and it's basically different terms that we use throughout the process, but a proffer can also be, hey, Your Honor, I have a witness who is going to testify, and the judge may have said, well, these things cannot be testified about. Then what happens is, no, Your Honor, I want to do a proffer or offer proof. So what happens is the attorneys get to question that witness outside of the presence of the jury. So, and it's not a part of the record as far as like what the jury will ever know. It's part of the record for purposes of appeal if this witness is not allowed to testify about whatever the topic is. So it's one of those two things.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Can you explain what is a continuous objection is and how does it affect the trial?
Gotcha. So continuous objection, or what we also call a running objection. It's an objection to something that is going to happen or going to continue to come up. So let's just say something, we have an objection, the objection is hearsay. The state says, no, Your Honor, this is not offer for the truth of the matter asserted, it's to show something else. And the judge says, okay, I want to let it in. Your objection is overruled. And then the witness continues to testify things about hearsay. And the judge keeps ruling the same way. And the defense attorney will say, well, Your Honor, can I have a continuous objection or a running objection on this issue? So it's basically an objection. Instead of you getting up and objecting every time on the same issue, we got it understood that you objecting. And we're going to move it along.
Okay. There's another one. It's almost time. What is your thoughts on prosecutors being overly emotional and combative, often not accepting a judge ruling?
So I believe it's extremely unprofessional. I believe that you are a complete adult. You are in the courtroom. If you lose an objection, it happens. That doesn't mean you get to have a tantrum in the courtroom.
But what about when the judge snaps at them like that?
Yeah, he's over it. Like, he's over it. Because I think it was like once I was watching, the state hadn't turned something over, like they had been like supposed to provide. Like, hey, and from a judge's perspective, hey, we've already been going at this for however many months. I'm trying to move this trial along. Why aren't things being provided in accordance with my ruling, right? So it's very frustrating for him. He's supposed to be neutral the entire time while the jury is present. But if he's lashing out in front of the jury, that's a whole nother issue. But yeah, I think that he's over it. The lashing out, I think that judges, period, a lot of times don't like to be questioned, don't like to be second guessed. But it's just like, hey, I have to do my job. Have I ever been yelled at court? Yeah, for doing my job.
Yeah. Because you're there to represent your client.
Yeah.
Okay. Miss Adams, Is there anything that the people, I guess, can do to expose this so-called Lord?
No, because what y'all exposing him for? What did he do? Like,
I
just
don't
based
know.
on the
That's
trial?
not my question. That's not
Okay.
my. That's somebody else's.
Look, what did he do? I think there's really nothing to do. Like, there's nothing to expose because it's on camera.
It's on
You know what I
camera.
mean? It's on camera. So if there's any issues, if he's found guilty, any issues, it's on TV. Like, they're going to have a perfect record.
Oh yeah, they have it. They have enough. Yeah, this case is gonna be an overturned case if it goes that far. Do you think it's gonna go that far? Here's the question: do you think this case is gonna go all the way to the end where they do the closing argument?
Closing, yeah, it's going to. It has to, because you have to get closing arguments to give it to the jury to get a verdict.
Do you think it's gonna get to the verdict?
Yeah, because even when you take Mr. Williams out of the case, you still have a whole lot of other people. So they need a verdict too. So,
But I'm just saying, suppose they lose like 5 jurors.
how many alternates do they have?
4.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So that would be a mistrial.
So then they won't get into the end. They won't get to the end, right?
Then what will happen is the DA has to determine whether or not they're going to retry the case.
So do you think they will retry this case?
Based on ego, yes. Based on common sense, no.
Ego. It will be the ego in playing in this, right?
Yeah, because I would never sign up to do a 2-year case. Like, I've had a 2-week trial. That was exhausting. So imagine being in trial, you know what I mean, for over a year or 2 years. That's insane.
I know your money. You're not getting the kind of money you should be getting because you're stuck on this case.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, the fee to quote someone for a case that's going to last 2 years. Yeah, we're at least 7 figures
Yes, millions.
because at this point, you got to keep in mind, these lawyers cannot have any time off. These lawyers cannot go on vacation.
No.
They're not going to their kids' school programs.
No,
they're not doing any of this.
No. Unless they get somebody to cover for them.
No. Yeah, that ain't how it works. I mean, you can, but that's not ideal for a trial.
No, wow. No, I would say, and then the jurors can't go on vacation either.
Yeah, it's a bad situation for everybody involved. So I think the judge's goal is to make sure there is no mistrial because of the things that could possibly come with that.
Wow. Dang. All right, guys. It is almost 9 o'clock. You know me, I gotta keep my time. Am I okay, or what do you?
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay, she said we're fine, y'all. Let's go. So one of the things that the judge made a ruling, an order for the jurors to get paid for the time that they on like administrative day off. Well, the jurors haven't been getting paid for that. So they questioned the judge a couple of times. Do you think that would affect them thinking, like, what do you think?
So the jurors not getting paid, it's already frustrating. I'm already stuck here. And y'all ain't got my money. You know what I mean?
And you don't feed them. You don't feed them either.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. Yes. They don't feed the jurors. No.
That is insane.
No, they don't feed the jurors. They do not feed the jurors.
The only case I think I've only in like my federal trials did they not feed the jurors. And all of my other cases, no, they feed the jurors. That's insane because you're already missing work. So the money that they're paying the juror is not what they're accustomed to getting from their job.
$25 a day.
That's barely enough for food. Mm-hmm. So you're supposed to pay me $25 a day. You're not paying it, and I pay for my own food? No.
And the food there's like at the cafeteria is like $12 plus. There's nothing underneath $12 in the food if you buy food in the cafeteria, and that's without a drink.
Yeah, get these people lunch. Like, that's the least you could do. That's the least you could do.
Yeah,
That's sad.
it is.
Like, if y'all brought the case, y'all know it's gonna take this long, y'all could. That's the bare minimum y'all could do.
Yeah.
Like, pay for their parking, pay for their food.
And they don't pay for their gas either, driving there.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-mm.
So I think that a lot of times in jury selection, we talk about how long a case is going to last.
Mm-hmm.
We'll say, okay, we expect this case to last a week. Does anyone have any conflicts that will prohibit you from, serving this full week? And I'm really curious as to if they asked these jurors that question. Because the moment they told me that this case would last a year, I would have had every excuse I could have to get out of that. Everything.
Oh, look, I would hate everybody. I would have so much prejudice. I would have so many things that I would go read up how to get out of jury duty and make sure I don't use it on my phone, somebody else's phone.
Yeah. Like, what? That's insane. That is insane. Like, pay these people and feed them and pay for their parking.
Mm-hmm.
That's sad.
Well, woo. Now, tell me, we're going to go towards you now. What was one of your favorite cases that you had to handle?
A favorite. Oh, okay. It was a dope case. It was, I think I had been licensed a year, but it was a long time ago. It wasn't a favorite, but like, it was like, oh, okay, I'm doing it. So it's a dope case. The client, I knew him. Long story short, he fell asleep in a trap.
Mm-hmm.
He wakes up to the police in his trap.
Mm-hmm.
He's already on probation. So they violate his probation. He's in custody. His family's not going to bond him out. They come hire me. Cool. He was like, nah, I was in there asleep. Like, I didn't know what was going on. Like, they had got everybody else out and everything. He's still just laying there. So in Texas, we have this thing called an examining trial, which is a preliminary hearing you can have before a case is indicted. It's to determine whether or not there's probable cause that a crime was committed. Judges always find there's probable cause. I don't even use it for that. I use this hearing to pin the cop down to a story. Like, let me see what the states, what they briefly like show their hand a little bit, and then the cop tells their story on the stand, and you get to cross-examine them. Now, I'm prepared, so I think. But that night, like, I couldn't sleep. Like, I woke up like thinking about this case. So I get up and I'm redoing my questions, my cross, so on and so forth. And so the officer, he's on the stand, and he doesn't want to say that my client was asleep. Okay, cool. What was my client doing when you approached him? He was lying down. When he was lying down, was he moving? No, he was not. He was still? Yes. When you all approached him and got closer, was he still? Yes. Okay. Is that consistent with someone sleeping or resting? Well, yes. He didn't want to admit that he was asleep. Yeah, but he didn't move. He was still breathing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He was asleep. So I get the transcript from that hearing. Mm-hmm. And I go to the prosecutor, and I'm like, hey, he was asleep. Your officer testified, give me my dismissal, give me my win, reinstate his probation. She did not want to reinstate him. Like, she didn't want to dismiss it. It was other people, obviously, that had been in the trap who had got arrested. And she's like, well, can he just make a statement or give a statement saying, like, that the drugs weren't his? For what? Mm-hmm. Like, the officer established that he was asleep. Well, we just don't want the other guys to be able to point the finger at each other. That ain't my problem. It's not my problem. Mm-hmm. So, cool. They're supposed to, so then let's go to probation about reinstating my client. I am a baby lawyer. I'm a baby lawyer. So these three women, they're all non-melanated. They all get together and go to the probation department. So I'm just sitting like in the judge's courtroom waiting, trying to see like if he did something else so they could keep him in jail for the probation violation.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just sitting here waiting. And the judge finally says, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Oh, I'm waiting for the prosecutor." And he said, "Well, let me go see what's going on." The judge comes back and says, "Oh, they're going to dismiss the case." They were so mad,
Mm-hmm.
they
They're
just left.
prolonging.
They just left. Ain't told me nothing.
Wow.
So a few days later, we have a brief hearing to get his probation reinstated. And this one prosecutor, she tries to, you can ask like questions and stuff like that. And she asked my client about the situation at the trap. And I'm like, objection. Like, this has nothing to do with that. We're here about his probation. That case has been dismissed, so on and so forth. Of course, the judge rules in my favor, but she was trying to be slick.
Wow.
And of course, they didn't turn in one of the dismissals, so my client was in jail extra day. So I had to get a PR bond from the judge to get my client out. But it was just like, it goes to show like how low down prosecutors can be just to get a conviction. If he wasn't there, he wasn't there. And then to try to like hold his dismissal because he won't say it was these other people's drugs, that ain't his problem.
Mm-hmm.
And it ain't my problem. But prosecutors do like extremely shady shit sometimes.
Wow. Wow. So, have you ever lost a case? And I mean, how do you get yourself back from a loss if you have
Okay.
lost?
So I have. There was a federal trial I did probably like 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was in a tough district, a very tough district, because in the federal system it's broken up by districts. So very tough district. And the client, he had already told me, like, I like go meet with him to talk to him and, tell me your side of the story. What happened? What didn't happen? He's like, I did all that shit. Like, I did all that shit. So, right? But this was, and it wasn't a high profile case, but it was a little profile. Because they had one person, basically they were robbing, doing home invasions, but in very affluent neighborhoods. So they're doing these home invasions, getting like insane stuff, right? And it got a little news coverage because one of the people they robbed was a radio host locally. So the thing was, he was just like, I don't see 12 people convicting me on this.
Is that?
That's my client said, yeah. He was like, I'm going to try. I don't see 12 people convicting me on this because, no.
Well, okay, sorry.
They didn't catch him. They only piece of evidence they had against him was like an attempted credit card purchase on a stolen credit card from one of the robberies, where the item that they tried to purchase was going to go to like his girlfriend's house. That was literally the only evidence.
Wow.
What happened is, and I always tell people, if you're gonna commit a crime, do it by yourself. Now these was
y'all hear that? Go commit a crime.
Yeah, but these were home invasion robberies, so you couldn't do those by yourself, right?
Okay.
The thing was, the people who did it with, they got caught. They got caught on their own. They got caught and they flipped. And so each one of, every witness, every witness, none of them could identify my client. Nobody could say it was him. None.
Okay.
Who said it was him and what happened and how they did it was the people he did it with. They got on the stand, each of them, and they testified so that they could possibly get time off of their sentence.
Mm-hmm.
And their lawyers didn't know what they were doing because they did, like in federal prosecutions, if there's going to be an agreement, the government can say, we'll give you this much time off of your sentence if you cooperate, right?
Mm-hmm.
They did it where the judge would determine how much time they got the sentence. So I think they were like playing to 25 years, 25, 20 years. And then the judge will give you your time off of your sentence after you testify, depending on how she feeling that day.
Mm-hmm.
This judge, they did all this testifying. Judge gave them nothing off. Absolutely nothing. So my client could have walked, had y'all shut up. Y'all trying to get time off y'all sentence and still got nothing off of your sentence.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, after the case, one of the jurors contacted me. She was really sweet. She was like, she thought I did an amazing job. She had a brother in jail. She was like, yeah, like you did your thing. My brother in jail. You know what I mean? But also, one of the co-defendants who testified against my client, his dad called me to try to hire me for his son to see like if I could do anything to get him time off his sentence. I'm like, sir, your son testified against my client. No.
Wow. Wow. Dang.
It was, let me just say, it was like that case was so crazy because people don't realize like they share so much on social media and like all these other platforms and how this can be abused. So, or like one thing I'm big on is I tell people all, do not get mail at your house. I know that's technically what
Say it again. Say it again.
Do not get mail at your house.
Why not?
So in that case, when they would go to look for people to target, they would go to their house and open their mailbox. And like you can see their names, right? Mm-hmm. And then they will research them to see how much they were worth, to see if it was even worth breaking into their house. There's other reasons you shouldn't get mail at your house. I'll tell you those if you want, but yeah.
Do y'all want to know why not to get mail at your house?
Like that's, I don't know why people, I mean, I get like, that's what you're supposed to do, but in these days, you shouldn't.
Wow. Oh my God. You scaring me now.
Like another thing, I'll go ahead and tell you, another reason, this is an old school crime, but it's coming back.
Uh-oh.
Is mail theft. Mail theft is becoming more and more popular to the point where like people are like robbing mail carriers at gunpoint. Because if you have a check coming, or if you're sending out a check, you know, right? If they intercept the mail, what they're doing is they're washing the check. They're leaving the signature and stuff in place, but they're washing the writing off of the check and refilling it out. So they're going to go to the bank, and the bank is going to cash it because the signature is valid, not realizing that this check has been manipulated.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, and another one. I had a case, federal case. It was like a big identity theft type of case, credit card fraud case. And they were sending, you know, you got to send the credit cards to an address, right? Mm-hmm. So they knew people on the mail route, or if they didn't know anybody on the mail route, they would like stalk the mailman to see when he was going to the address that they put on this fraudulent application. And the mailman's dropping it off. As soon as the mailman's gone, they're going and taking the mail out the box. And they were taking all of the mail, just not the card they were looking for. They were taking all of people's mail and then just throw it out once they got the card that they wanted.
Okay. Wow. Gee, man.
Yep. People are insane.
Oh, Lord. Oh, not the credit card. Somebody said eviction. Somebody said eviction. Okay. So we're gonna give you about 2 more questions. Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, here we go. Okay, here's Dom. Dom K says, Oh, that's just a statement he's saying. Was a criminal in 02 and still a criminal in 24. Okay, we don't know.
It be like that. Look, the economy is messed up.
The economy is real bad. Everybody's doing stuff. It says, question, why are the state impeachment people that already served their time? Is that double jeopardy?
No, it's not. And the state impeaching people, even if they already served their time, the state impeaching people, it's basically about them providing information that or making a statement that was different from what they originally made. I think, and as from the state's perspective or a defense perspective, you can impeach your own witness. It looks crazy to do it, but you can. And I've seen the prosecutors in the YSL case have to impeach their own witnesses multiple times, and it doesn't look good.
But there's a whole bunch of them. Everybody was brought up in there.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Hold on. Somebody has a question. Temani, how many eviction can you legally have?
As many as they file. Like, there's no limit.
This guy is crazy with these questions. Okay. All right. Oh, here's the question. Why didn't the judge remove the juror who lived by the crime scene?
Yeah, it's to remove a juror. One, what happens is in this situation, the judge is like, you notify the parties about what's going on with this juror. You notify and you ask, hey, what do you all want to do? What do you all think about is the best situation? Removing a jury in this situation, it's not ideal because this case is so long. It's going to last so long. It's going to. And if it's not going to have a bearing on the result of the case or her ability to be a juror, then there's no need to remove her because they only have so many alternates and you don't want a mistrial.
Okay. Got one question on my phone. Question says, how is it that the judge allowed the deceased family of those that's testifying to stay inside the courtroom while others are testifying?
So there's a different rule, but it's the same rule pretty much in every state at the federal level. It's basically that says, hey, witnesses who are going to testify cannot be in the courtroom prior to their testimony. Mm-hmm. Once they've testified, they can stay in the courtroom.
Yeah, but these are witnesses that are the family members of the deceased, and they're testifying, and they've been in the courtroom throughout the whole time.
Yeah, that's an issue with the lawyers because I would ask to have them removed until it's time for them to testify. But the thing is, in this situation, it really doesn't matter because the testimony is online anyway, so they can still watch it.
Okay. All right. So you don't know if it's the Georgia law because
no,
I said it was a Georgia law that was
No, it is. But the thing is, like I say, it's almost like a non-issue in this situation because it's on TV. So even if you exclude them, they can still go watch it on online.
Okay. All right. Next one. Can a sovereign citizen get business loan and business credit cards?
See something. I'm in this lawyer group, and there's a sovereign citizen who is on the other side of this lawyer and sends this lawyer this crazy letter and email about being a sovereign citizen and what this means, and this lawyer isn't a registered agent and all this stuff. The sovereign citizen thing, I'll tell you like this. I was in court several years ago, and a judge had a binder, and on the binder the label said stupid legal arguments. And I'm not kidding. That is how they feel about that. And yeah, that's how they feel about the whole sovereign citizen thing.
Is it real? For real? Is it?
No.
Okay.
But you have situations where people present, the arguments, the documents, and like I said, the judge had literally a binder that said stupid legal arguments.
Oh, wow.
No disrespect to you.
All right. Okay. All right. So let's go to this one. Temani, in the court of law, is it considered
What is considered a deadbeat father?
Deadbeat dad.
That is not a legal term. Deadbeat father is not a legal term. So that's not even in the court of law, because that's not a legal term.
Okay. Here's a question. Can you ask her about Erica King thing, clarifying that the judge denied a plea deal due to the other acts were added?
Is she a co-defendant?
Yeah, she a co-defendant with Ernesto, Shirley Strawberry.
Oh, that late. Okay, I'm like, huh? Oh, so he basically, okay. So I think what she's saying is the judge denied her plea because they added additional charges.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it goes.
Yeah, it does happen, right?
But yeah.
Okay.
So say for instance, because obviously they came up with that agreement before the additional charges were added. So let's just say if they end up in a situation where they say, oh no, judge, we've already reviewed these charges, we're not going to pursue, we're going to dismiss those charges against her, then that'd have been one thing. But it doesn't sound like that's what happened. I think that even if they had the same plea down the line, the judge's concern is, okay, what's happening with these additional cases? Are you guys going to dismiss? What's going to happen?
So do the judge always, like, okay, for example, do they always agree with the plea agreement, or has judges ever refused it or denied it? And
no, judges do not always agree with the plea agreement.
Okay.
They do not. And like in Texas, judges aren't supposed to get involved in the plea agreement negotiations, but some judges do. Like just keep it a buck and be like, oh, I won't do that. They do sometimes, but in a lot of situations, you typically bring the plea agreement to the judge once you all have an agreement and you have it worked out.
Okay, question. Okay. Say they originally said that they were going to give a plea agreement 5 years off, whatever, right? And the judge decided to have a meeting with them, which is not on the calendar, because I've seen, they don't have it on the calendar, and then the judge rejected. So why do they have to have another arraignment?
On the new charges. Yeah, that's standard.
Okay.
So arraignment is, even though she made another charges, arraignment says, hey, this is us formally telling you the charges and you being made aware of them.
So why do they call it a plea arraignment? Why is it both?
It sounds like it was set for a plea,
uh-huh,
but then you're going to also be arraigned on the new charges.
Okay.
You have the possibility in various state courts and in federal courts to waive arraignments when there's a new charge added.
Mm-hmm.
It is basically you send in this form, your client signs it saying, I know what the new charges are. I don't want to come to court for you to tell me.
Okay. Anybody else? Any question, y'all, before we let her go? Because she got to eat. Don't you have to eat?
I have to make a TikTok real quick.
Oh, she got to do her TikTok, y'all. Okay, anybody wants to do the last question? Okay, here we go. We have T-Mac. T-Mac says, how is an alternate brought up to speed if one of the main juror is excused? Because they're sitting there throughout the whole trial. I can answer that one.
Yeah, they know what's going on. They're sitting there the whole time.
Okay, here's last one. Promise. No more after this. Question: is it normal for a state to have 4 to 5 different experts testifying about the same thing?
4 to 5? No, I think the max should be 3. Because if you need 4 to 5, then if it's the same thing, you're not securing your evidence.
Okay. And Temani, do you do just state? You do federal?
No, I do mostly federal.
Okay. She's big dog, y'all. She's a big dog.
I do mostly federal cases. I do a lot of drugs and guns. Yeah, a lot of drugs and guns.
Okay. Guys, thank Temani for just a wonderful time. I appreciate her. Well, when this is over with, you're going to come back, right?
Yeah, of course.
That means next year, right?
Right? Like, let's get the ball rolling.
Exactly. All right. Thank you so much, Temani. And what is your social media handle?
On everything, it's Temani Adams, because there's not another Temani.
Okay. Temani Adams on TikTok, IG, what else?
Twitter, like that.
Twitter.
Everything is literally Temani Adams.
Temani Adams, y'all. Make sure you subscribe to her. Do you have a YouTube?
Yeah, I don't post on it.
Oh, okay. Never mind. All the other social media, if you want to find her, ask a question. She's she's great. She's a polite person. I met her at a trial. That's how we became cool. But thanks again, Temani. You have a wonderful, wonderful evening, okay?
You too. You guys have a good night.
All right. Good night.
Bye.
Bye. All right, guys. Did you guys like that? All right. So we're going to do a update. We're going to do an update so we have a conversation. I just wanted to bring that to you guys. That was fun, wasn't it? That was fun. I love her. I love Temani. She did. Hold on. Somebody just sent me. She did meet her at trial, like I thought. Yeah, I met her in. I met Temani at R. Kelly's trial in New York. So I've known her since 2021. Known her since then. And she's really, really great. She's a very easy, personable person. Y'all be surprised how many attorneys that I actually stay in contact with. Let's see. She do look like Kelly Rowland, don't she? She does. Okay. All right. So, guys, I wanted to give you guys Temani Bad. Okay. Update on 50. Update. You have 15 new membership. Y'all, I want to give a shout out to all my new members. Thank you, Randa. Thank you, Slick. Who else did? Thank you, Dom, for the cat super chat. Thank you, Tiger. See what, guys? I wanted to focus on her. I didn't want it to be about like, stopping and saying thank you for the money. I do appreciate it. It's not that. I just wanted to focus on interviewing her, So don't think I'm going to go ahead and go through this and say thank you to you guys because you guys rock. Let me go through up here so I can see everything that you guys did while I was busy talking to Temani. Hold on, y'all. Let me go to the top. Top. Okay. Thank you to... Okay. Thank you, Jerome, for the super chat. Thank you. Hold on. Thank you, Michael, for the super chat. Thank you, Michael. Let's go. I'm going to say thank you. Thank you, Kimberly, for your membership update. 27 months she's been with me. Thank you, Randa Baby, for gifting 5 membership. Who are the ones that got the membership from Randa? Make sure you thank Miranda for the membership, please. Thank you to Plant Lady for the 5 membership. Those who got membership from her, please say thank you. Show her your appreciation by saying thank you. Thank you, Dom, for a super chat. You're welcome for the great interview. All right. Yes, she is single. Temani is single. All right. Thank you, Slick, for the 5 membership. Thank you, Programmer, for the super chat. Thank you, Dom, again for... That was an eviction question. Thank you, Dom, for the super chat again. I appreciate you. All right, we got T Girl for updating the membership. Thank you for 26 months of being with me. Thank you, Nona. So as Sylvia didn't like you, Nona, we're gonna leave that alone, Nona. We're gonna leave that alone. But they're gonna keep saying I lie. But we're gonna leave that alone, Nona. We're gonna leave that alone, okay? Leave that alone. Because they're not gonna believe nothing I say. It doesn't matter. As long as you guys love me. And let me tell you something. That thing would have never been updated if that didn't happen yesterday. I'm just gonna tell you. That's how it was up. Okay, let me shut up. All right, let's go. Thank you for the membership. And thank you. I am him. I'm addicted to this channel real bad. Oh, thank you. Oh, I'm so happy. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and talk about what happened in court today. I'm going to put the link in and we're going to talk, guys. We're going to talk. I'm going to put it in. You guys, we're going to talk. Tonight, I'm not sleepy. You see, I got some rest last night. Well, I was sleepy earlier because that meatloaf was nasty. What the no? Forget that mess. Ignore that stuff. Ignore that. Forget that. We're on a different plane. We don't want to start a new live. You don't want to. You want me to start a new live? Okay, I'll start a new live. Oh, look, y'all. Pastor sent a donation, y'all. Now, Pastor's he's $189 short. And 1 penny. Let me see. Okay, yeah, let's end this and then we'll start a new live. Miranda, could you do my Okay, let's do it. Okay, y'all, we'll be right back. We'll be right back. We're gonna do a new live. Start on a new live because this is Temani's live. Okay. I'll be back. I'll be back. Good night, y'all. I'll be back.